Hi, let's go to the point from the beginning. This is ZomCast, and today we're talking Python. As we talked in the previous session, we have started talking tutorials during this podcast series, and this is the first series, and it's Python tutorial. We talked in the previous session about uh, Python fundamentals, some basics of Python, like the interpreter, how to run it, and today we're gonna talk about strings. Although we talked about strings a little bit, and also a little bit about numbers and data types like float, but today we will more specifically talk about strings and how to handle them and how strings work actually in Python. Strings are one of the most interesting data types that you are more sorry that you are more frequently probably more frequently than other data types are dealing with. So let's switch to Visual Studio Code to see exactly what we're going to talk about today. First of all, I'm going to create a new file, a script, and I'm gonna call it string tutorial. Let's name it, and let's give it a date, like December 4, the day of today, and 2020. And the first thing we are going to start string with is a variable. Let's create a new variable and call it name, and I give it a name like John, and the family name like John Straw. Okay, these two types are strings. How do we know that? When you put something in the double quotes, inside double quotes or single quotes, it's considered string in Python. So instead of putting John inside double quotes, you could also put it in single quotes like this. Let me do it again, John. And this is a string. And strings are very useful in Python and very much used. And there are obviously many methods, many functions that are written for working with strings, like print, the basic command that every Python programmer knows about. Printing something. So in order to print something, you know that you write print, and then you can write the name of that variable, and that is printed. And here it is a string, and you can easily print it. Let's run it. John, you can see that its value, that is John, is printed. And now what about the family name? Let's change first name as the variable name for name, and also this one first name. Okay, now we have changed it. This time, instead of first name, I'm gonna print family name. One of the questions you might have is how you connect two strings, how you concatenate and join two strings. We'll reach that, and we'll talk about it. Just now, let's run this, and straw, the family name was printed now. What if we want to join these two parts, like first name and family name, we want to join them. For example, I want to say your name is, and then you see that I give it a space, and then family name, and then first name first, and then family name. Visual Studio Code doesn't like the way we write this unless we put some plus between them to add them. Now if I run it, you can see that your name is John Straw, Oh, you see that there's no space between the first name and the family name, and this is a problem. So let's add a space here too. There we go. If I save this and run it again, it is displaying properly. So you see that this is a little bit error prone and a little bit difficult to write. So Python, fortunately for us, has a better and easier way to write strings that have variables. So you don't have to join them using plus and add addition operator. All you have to do is to write it this way. The second way we can write the same sentence is your name is, I open some curly braces, first name, and then we put a space left for as the space between first name and last name, and then another pair of curly braces and family name. There we go. Now if I print this, it will not work. Your name is first name, family name. So what's the problem? The value of these two variables were not replaced in my string. The problem is that you also have to precede your string with f. This is something called f strings, and it is specific to Python. When you precede a string constant or a simple string that is in quote that is inside double quotes or single quotes, doesn't make a difference, with f, then every variable that is found inside it and inside curly braces is replaced by its value. So if I run this again, it will display it properly. You can say that it is way easier to write the sentence using the second method, the second print statement, than the first one. So I comment out using control forward slash. The first sentence is commented out and we prefer the second one. So whenever you have a variable that you want to write inside your string, you simply precede the whole string with f and then put the variable name inside curly braces, and there we go. That's it. So the first thing that we talked about is what? Variables, string variables. You can see that you create string variables just by assigning some string constant to a variable name. And also we talked about printing. So evaluating string variables inside strings. You can see that we evaluated these string variables inside our string constants, and that was easy. The third thing that we are going to talk about with regard to strings is actually much more interesting, and that is something that you might find interesting. For example, let's say you have a message that is like 500 characters long and you don't want to display the whole characters. What you want to do is just display the first 10 characters. How would you do it in Python using string utilities? Does Python has something to do it easily for you, or you have to use some library or some special technique, some complicated technique to achieve that? And the good news is that this is very easy to achieve. All you have to do is write your strings in a subscriptive way. I'm not sure if I pronounced it well, but subscription is the term that is often used for this usage. Python strings are something like array or list. Let's say this John, you see, it has 4 characters. We can say that Python considers this as a list of 4 characters. So it's not very good to say that this is a list. This is not a list. This is a string. But Python supports subscripting these string variables and strings, and this is very good. So why is it good for us? Let's say we have a message, a long message. I write it here like hello and welcome to Python course. And then we go to the next line, and like this is a very long, let's continue it on the same line. Here we will talk about Python programming, learn its basics, learn data types like strings, numbers, etc., lists, etc. So this is, you see that it's a pretty long string. What if I want to just display the first part, like hello and welcome to Python course? I can easily do it by creating a new variable for this string and just assigning part or a subsection of this string. Substring we call it in other languages, but in Python it doesn't hurt to say substring. It can give you a substring. So I call it partial string because this is a partial string created from the long string. And now long string, long message, partial message actually, I just assign the first, let's say 20 characters, the first 20 characters. Notice how I'm using these subscriptions and these parts. I am saying from 0 to 20. So when you do that, it will assign the first 20 characters from this string to a new variable that we can use. If I print partial string, print, let's use the new technique that we learned here, f strings. So I add a f and then a quote, single quote, because we know that we can use single quote or double quote, doesn't make a difference. And okay, we write the partial message is the value of partial message inside curly braces, and that's it. Partial message should be displayed here. Let's run it. There we go. Hello and welcome to the first partial. The first 20 characters are just written here. And is this really 20 characters? Let's count it. Copy and WC word count and count the characters. Oh no, not this way. Actually echo this character and then WC minus C. 21. Yes, 21. So the first two characters, it means that the first 20 characters means that the 20th index is also inclusive. It is also included in the set in the partial string. So this is another technique that I told you about. So substrings, this is very useful. If you want to do Python programming, you will need a lot to use this to create substrings. And I think we covered 3 useful things about Python. And now I'm going to head over to python.org to see if we didn't skip something very important, and then we can finish this tutorial. So I'm gonna go to Python tutorial page and show you that as well. Firefox, go up please. Firefox, Mr. Firefox. There we go. We have Firefox here and strings. I love this page, a very good tutorial page. docs.python.org /tutorial. And strings, you can see that doesn't matter whether you are using single quotes or double quotes. And also, if you have something to escape in a string, some characters that you want to escape in a character in a string, you can do that by putting a backslash. And here you can see that isn't, yeah, because they wanted to use a single quote inside the string that was created with single quote, they have to escape it, because otherwise Python wouldn't know how to end this string. So this is something quite important you should know about. If you are creating your string with single quotes, like enclose your string inside single quotes, you cannot make single quote again as part of your string unless you precede it with some backslash that escapes it, that tells Python interpreter that this is not a Python boundary, this is not a Python string delimiter, this is in fact the character that I want to display, that I want to print. And there we go, it has been printed. It has been printed here. And what else do we have? Yes, line strings, string literals. You can also create string literals using 3 quotes, or let's say triple quotes. They call it triple quotes. Let's do that actually in Visual Studio Code as well. Triple quotes, this is quite important. This allows you to write several lines of string. Let's make this actually triple quote, the same string. I started with triple quote and then I have to end it with triple quote. Whatever that you write inside triple quotes is just literally part of the string. You can see it's okay. And now if we print it, print the line string first, print f, I'm using the f string, and then say line string. The line string is line message. What is line string? Line message. And then we have partial message created from that. Let's run it. There we go. This time you can see that even the new lines are considered in the string. So if you have in your double quotes some new line that goes to the next line, breaks the current line and then goes to the next line, it happens in the output as well, and it is considered as part of the string. And also we have the partial string hello and welcome, and this time the partial string is started from the beginning. The first 20 characters, the first 21 characters are considered inside the string that we wanted to create a substring from. Hello and welcome. One question that I have, actually, the new line, oh yeah, 2 more characters are used here. We have a space and also a new line, so it's understandable that these the two word that was formerly printed when we run this script, is not printed anymore because we have added some new characters in the beginning. Yeah, 21. Now it becomes 21, 20, 19, 19, 19. Okay, forget about it. It's understandable, you know. Okay, and this was for triple quotes. And another interesting thing is that you can connect and concatenate two strings very easily without, you know, without using any plus sign. You see, you don't actually need to uh, write pi plus thon because they are both literals, string literals. They can join together without any problem. So I write two Python strings. Part one, like pi he, and p2 is low, and then concat or joined. Oh, actually, if you want to concatenate the variables, you got a problem. You cannot do that with p1, p2. This doesn't work. You have to use plus. But if you want to use this, if you want to concatenate and join the string literals, it's easy. Like he and low. Print f string join string join, and if I run it, it easily prints this. Join string is hello. So this is a nice trick from Python. Okay, and this is something about subscripting and substring from Python. Creating substrings from Python, nice. And there are some tricks about subscripting. You don't have to use the format that I used actually. Note that start is always included and the end always excluded. This make sure that s is always equal to s. What does it mean? Okay, this starts from word 2, 0, 1, 2, t to the end. And so actually this one, it starts from the beginning to the second character, which means to t, pi. And this one starts from t, the second index, that is 0, 1, 2, that is t, until the end. So when you skip one part, like the beginning or the end, it goes aligned to the end. Like this goes aligned to the beginning of the string, and this goes aligned to the end of the string. Okay, interesting. And there we go. That's it for strings. Beautiful. Another thing about subscripting strings is that you can also specify substrings. You can specify indexes that are negative actually. So for example, if we have a string here, line message, I want to display the last 20 characters. So I create last message, and this time, instead of including the first part of the string, I use the last part using the negative indexes, and I use this format, line message, and minus 20. Yeah, minus 20. I hope this is correct. Print f string last part, and last message. And print it. Yes, it worked, you know. The last 20 characters to the end. So the first index says that 20 characters before the end, we start and we finish way ahead in the beginning, in the end of the string, and this is understandable. If we even count this part, you can see that it is 21 characters, I think. Echo minus C, actually just pipe it, WC, 19. It is 19 characters. All right. 19 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, space 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 means, yeah, 18 means 19 indexes. 17 indexes. It doesn't work out the way expected. Numbers. The bottom line is that you can use subscription and indexes, negative indexes, to pick up some end and final part of your string, and this is quite good and very fine, very easy. All right, that's it. So we covered a lot of things about Python strings, string variables, evaluating strings inside strings, using f strings, and then creating substrings. That sometimes becomes a little bit tricky in terms of indexes. You need to make sure you're doing correctly. If you use it incorrectly, probably you will get some compiler errors. Like if you say for this character, for this, if you use if you start from 0 and then go to 2000, we know that our string isn't 2000 characters long. If we run it, we expect that some error happens, but Python has predicted this and actually allows you to specify a final index that is way more than the length of your string. So this is allowed, and nice to see that Python is easy on it. All right, so that's it for this lecture, for this session of Python tutorials. This is part of ZomCast, Code Zombie channel's podcast for programming tutorials and technology advancements. So let's see what we have in terms of modern technologies and modern developments. Actually, I didn't have much time this week to think about, to find some new stuff. Let's see what we have this week. I think I have put something in my Telegram channel. By the way, my Telegram channel for Code Zombie is t.me/code_zombie. Please join this channel and I will post new stuff as soon as I can. So looks like I have some connection problems, so I finished this podcast here. Please hit the like button if you like this podcast, and subscribe to our channel. Also leave your comment and let me know what you think of the content that I'm creating, and see you. There we go. Python tutorial strings, ZomCast 15, December 4, 2020. Goodbye.